No one notices the signal at first. It doesn't arrive with drama or spectacle. No flashing alarms. No cinematic warnings. Just a quiet anomaly buried deep in the background noise of space. A narrow band of energy. Too ordered to be natural. Too complex to be random. At first, scientists assume it's interference. A reflection. A ghost echo from some long-dead star. But the signal keeps repeating, not looping, not echoing, but adjusting. Changing subtly, as if reacting to the way it's being observed. When researchers try to isolate it, their instruments begin to fail. Satellites freeze mid-orbit. Translation software crashes without error logs. Data centers overload, then wipe themselves clean. And then something stranger happens. Human operators, highly trained analysts, begin reporting brief lapses. Forgetting why they entered a room. Losing track of sentences halfway through speaking. One engineer stares at her console for 3 full minutes before asking aloud where she is. Medical scans show nothing wrong. But the pattern is unmistakable. Whatever the signal is, it isn't just transmitting information. It's interacting. Earth's most advanced artificial intelligences are brought online. Linguistic AIs capable of parsing extinct languages, alien math, even whale song. They fail within seconds. Some return gibberish. Others shut themselves down entirely. One AI outputs a single line before collapsing. This is not language. Panic follows quickly after. Global agencies scramble behind closed doors. Militaries argue for silence. Scientists argue for response. Every attempt to answer the signal, radio, laser, quantum pulse, results in cascading failures. And then someone remembers Elias Corvin. Elias is not famous. He is not powerful. He is dying. At 42, he is already fading, his mind slowly unraveling from a rare neurological condition that doctors still can't fully explain. To most, it is a tragedy. To a small circle of researchers, it is something else entirely. Elias does not process language the way other humans do. Words, to him, are secondary. What he perceives first are emotional patterns. Intent. Structure without grammar. Meaning without sound. His brain interprets communication as shape and feeling, not syntax. It made him a brilliant linguist. It is also killing him. When Elias is brought into the containment chamber, he already knows something is wrong. The room hums with tension. Scientists avoid his eyes. Screens glow with unreadable data. They play the signal. Elias closes his eyes. And immediately, he understands. Not in words. Not in sentences. But in recognition. His breath catches. His hands tremble. Tears form, uninvited. It's asking, he whispers. The room goes silent. As the signal plays again, Elias speaks, without planning to. His response isn't calculated. It isn't translated. It simply comes out. A sound no human language contains. Soft. Broken. Almost like grief. The signal changes instantly. It responds. Every screen lights up. For the first time in human history, something beyond Earth answers back. Humanity has made first contact. Within hours, the signal resolves into coordinates, deep space, far beyond known territory. Alongside them comes something else, an invitation. A meeting. The location is identified as Kelris. Records show it isn't a planet in the traditional sense, but an ancient artificial construct. A relay world. Neutral ground, built long ago to prevent first contact encounters from turning into wars. The alien civilization calls themselves the Varelians. They do not speak in threats. They do not issue demands. They simply say, "Come." Speak. Understand. Elias is rushed to a medical facility. Scans are run. Blood tests. Neural imaging. Doctors whisper behind glass walls. The results are devastating. Each time Elias translates, even briefly, portions of his memory vanish permanently. Not damaged. Not suppressed. Erased. Short-term memories go first. Then personal ones. Familiar places. Faces. Emotional anchors. The more clearly he understands the Varelians, the less of himself remains. Doctors tell him the truth gently, but directly. If you continue, one says quietly, you won't survive as yourself. Elias listens. He nods. He asks no questions. When asked if he wants to stop, he answers without hesitation. No, he says. They waited too long to be unheard. Preparations begin immediately. A delegation is assembled. Scientists. Observers. Military representatives. And at the center of it all, a dying linguist who can hear what no one else can. As the ship prepares to leave Earth, Elias stands alone in the observation bay, watching the planet turn slowly beneath him. He tries to remember why he loved the color blue. It takes him a moment. And somewhere, far beyond human space, the Varelians listen patiently, aware, perhaps, of the price their words will demand. The universe has spoken. And it has chosen a man who will not live long enough to remember the answer. The journey to Kelris takes 17 days. 17 days inside a vessel designed for diplomacy, not comfort. White walls. Soft lighting. Silence broken only by the low vibration of engines folding space around them. Elias spends most of the time staring out through the observation window. Stars slide past like slow, deliberate thoughts. He knows he should feel awe. Fear. Excitement. Instead, what he feels is distance, from Earth, from the future, and increasingly, from himself. Dr. Mei Lin watches him closely. She has known Elias for nearly a decade. He taught her how language could be more than words. How meaning could exist before sound. Now, she watches that same mind begin to fray. It starts subtly. Elias forgets small things at first. Where he left his tablet. Why he entered a room. Which day it is. No one says anything. They pretend it's stress. But then, one evening, May mentions his sister. Elias looks at her blankly. I don't have a sister, he says. May feels her throat tighten. She knows better. She has heard Elias talk about her dozens of times. Her laugh. Her stubbornness. The way she used to correct his grammar as a child. May changes the subject. She cries later, alone. When the ship finally emerges near Kelris, conversation dies completely. The relay world hangs in space like a monument to restraint. Vast, circular, layered with structures that seem grown rather than built. No weapons. No visible defenses. Just quiet geometry and patience. As they dock, a message arrives, not in sound, but in sensation. A calm acknowledgement. The Varelians are waiting. Inside the primary chamber, Elias feels it immediately. The pressure behind his eyes. The subtle hum in his chest. The language is closer here, heavier. Like standing too near a powerful magnet. The first session begins. Saris Thale appears, not as a physical being, but as a shifting construct of light and shadow. Its form stabilizes slowly, adjusting to human perception. Elias translates instinctively. He doesn't hear words. He feels intention. Curiosity. Caution. Something like respect. But with every sentence he gives voice to, something slips away. He forgets his first published paper. Then the name of his university. Then the sound of his father's voice. May notices his pauses growing longer. His sentences shorter. "How are you feeling?" she asks softly. Elias smiles faintly. "Tired," he says. "But, clear." It's a lie. Not intentional. He simply no longer remembers what clarity felt like before. Earth Command begins sending requests. Questions. Demands. Urgent priorities. They want technology. Energy solutions. Faster travel. Weapons, though they never say the word out loud. Admiral Rourke Hale appears on the screen, composed and impatient. "Ask them about their defenses," Hale orders. "About their enemies." Elias hesitates. The hesitation costs him. A memory flashes, and vanishes. His childhood bedroom. Gone. May steps in. "We're pushing him too fast," she says. "You can't rush a mind that's already breaking." Hale's voice is cold. "We can't afford to go slow." The Varelians respond before Elias can translate. Not with anger. Not with threat. With confusion. They do not understand urgency born from fear. Saris Thale projects a question directly into Elias's mind. It is gentle. Curious. "Why do you continue if it harms you?" Elias answers without speaking. "Because silence harms more." The Varelians pause. That pause carries weight. Reflection. For the first time, Elias senses something new from them. Concern. The sessions continue. With each translation, Elias loses more of himself. He begins asking May for reminders. His age. His role. Sometimes, his own name. May starts keeping notes, not of the aliens, but of Elias. What he likes. What he used to say. What makes him laugh. One night, she plays him a recording of his own voice from years earlier. Elias listens carefully. "That sounds like someone else," he says. May doesn't answer. By the end of the 10th day, Elias no longer remembers why he is afraid of dying. But he still understands the language. And that terrifies everyone. Because it means the translation will continue, long after the man who began it is gone. Somewhere within the living architecture of Kelris, the Varelians observe the deterioration quietly. They are learning something new. Understanding has a cost. And humans pay it in pieces of themselves. By the third week on Kelris, Elias Corvin is no longer keeping track of time. Days blur together, not because they pass quickly, but because they no longer anchor themselves in his memory. He measures time now by something else. Loss. He knows how much he has translated by what is missing afterward. At first, it was small things. Annoying things. The kind of forgetting everyone experiences. But now, the gaps are wider. Deeper. Entire pieces of his life have fallen away without sound or warning. One morning, he wakes up and does not recognize the reflection staring back at him. The face is older than he expects. Thinner. The eyes look tired, but not in a way he remembers feeling. He stares at the man in the mirror for a long time, waiting for recognition to arrive. It doesn't. Dr. Mei Lin finds him there, standing silently. "Elias," she says gently. He turns. Relief crosses his face, then fades. I know you," he says slowly, choosing each word with care. "But I don't know how." May forces a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. "That's okay," she replies. "I know you." That answer seems to comfort him, even though he doesn't understand why. The next translation session begins shortly after. This time, the Varelians speak of history. Not events. Not dates. Collapse. They show Elias visions, not images exactly, but emotional records. Civilizations that expanded too fast. Species that mastered energy before empathy. Species that mastered energy before empathy. Societies that learned how to leave their worlds, before learning how to live together. Every memory shared is precise. Unfiltered. Impossible to misinterpret. The Virelian language does not allow distortion. Truth arrives whole. Elias translates, his voice steady, even as his hands tremble. With each explanation, something else disappears. He forgets his first love. Then the city where he grew up. Then the sound of rain against glass. May notices something new. Elias no longer reacts when memories vanish. There is no confusion. No panic. Just acceptance. That frightens her more than the loss itself. Earth Command grows impatient. Admiral Hale appears again, his image sharp, his voice firm. We need to know if they're a threat, Hale says. Ask them why they're here. Ask them what they want from us. Elias listens. He nods. But before he can speak, the Virelians interrupt. Not with words. With clarity. They show Elias something he hasn't seen before. Language. Not as communication. As enforcement. The Virelian tongue evolved to remove ambiguity. To erase deception. To rewrite memory so lies could not survive. In their civilization, misunderstanding once nearly destroyed them. Language became the solution. Truth, embedded directly into the mind. No misinterpretation. No denial. Elias understands immediately. Their language isn't aggressive. It's absolute. And suddenly, he sees the danger. For humans, memory is identity. Belief. Narrative. The fragile glue that holds selfhood together. To speak the Virelian language fluently is to surrender that structure. May sees the change in his posture. Elias, she says quietly. What did they show you? He hesitates. That hesitation costs him dearly. He forgets why May's voice matters to him. I think, he says slowly, their language doesn't translate truth. It enforces it. May's breath catches. On the screen, Admiral Hale leans forward. Meaning? Meaning, Elias continues, choosing words carefully, that every sentence I speak for them, rewrites me. The room goes still. Hale frowns. That's acceptable, he says after a moment. If it means clarity. Elias looks at the screen. His eyes are calm, but something inside him fractures. For who? He asks. Hale doesn't answer. The next translation session is the longest yet. Elias begins losing memories in real time. He forgets a sentence halfway through speaking it. May has to repeat instructions multiple times. At one point, Elias pauses and looks around the chamber, confused. Why am I here? He asks softly. May steps closer. You're helping us talk, she says. You're helping us understand. Elias nods, satisfied. That answer costs him something too. The Virelians notice. For the first time, Saris Thale adjusts its projection, slowing its speech, softening its presence. It asks Elias a question directly, bypassing translation protocols. Is this harming you? Elias feels the question settle into his mind. Yes, he answers truthfully. Another question follows. Why do you continue? Elias searches for the answer. He cannot remember his reasons. He cannot remember his past. But something remains. A feeling. Because, he says quietly, if we don't understand each other, we destroy ourselves. The Virelians absorb this. They show him one final truth. They never expected the translator to survive. Every civilization they contacted paid the same price. Understanding always costs something. Elias lowers his head. May watches him, heartbreaking, as she realizes the truth. This was never a negotiation. It was a test. Not of intelligence, but of willingness to sacrifice. And Elias Corvin is failing, beautifully, tragically, completely. Because even as his memories disappear, even as his identity dissolves, he keeps translating. Not for Earth. Not for command. But for the fragile hope that understanding might be worth the loss of one man. By the fourth week, Elias Corvin no longer asks how much time he has left. He asks simpler questions now. Am I tired? Have I eaten? Did I already answer that? May learns to recognize the look in his eyes, the moment when awareness flickers, then dims. She answers gently, never rushing, never correcting him unless she has to. Correcting him seems cruel now. The translation sessions continue, but they have changed. Elias no longer prepares. He no longer studies. He sits in the chamber, calm and strangely distant, as if part of him has already stepped away from the world. His voice remains steady. That is what unsettles everyone. The Varelians begin sharing their final warning. Not predictions. Patterns. They show Elias civilizations that survived, and the ones that didn't. The difference is never technology. Never strength. It is always communication. Species that learned to listen lived longer. Species that didn't, vanished. Elias translates slowly, carefully. Each sentence costs him something immediate. He forgets his age. Then his profession. Then the meaning of the word home. May notices that he no longer reacts when memories fall away. He does not grieve them. He barely notices. One afternoon, during a break, Elias turns to her with quiet curiosity. Are we friends? He asks. May freezes. Yes, she says, after a breath. We are. He smiles. Good. You feel important. She has to leave the room. Earth Command grows more aggressive. Admiral Hale insists the final message be translated in full. No delays. No emotional considerations. This is bigger than him, Hale says flatly. We can't afford hesitation. May speaks up, her voice tight. He's still a person. Hale meets her gaze. He's a bridge, he replies. And bridges are built to be crossed. The next session begins under protest. Elias sits before Saris Thale, eyes unfocused but attentive. The Varelian presence feels heavier now, as if aware of the cost being paid. They slow their speech. It doesn't help. Elias begins losing memories mid-sentence. He stops speaking, confused, then starts again when prompted. At one point, he turns to May. Can you tell me what I'm doing? He asks softly. May steps closer, her voice breaking. You're helping us understand each other. Elias nods, satisfied. That explanation erases something else. Moments later, he looks at her again. Why are you crying? The room is silent. The final message begins. The Varelians reveal their conclusion. They will not intervene. They will not save humanity from itself. They will only offer understanding, and the choice to use it. Elias translates every word. With each sentence, his identity collapses further. He forgets his name. May whispers it to him. He repeats it once, then loses it again. Saris Thale pauses. For the first time, the Varelians hesitate. This exchange is destroying you, the thought comes gently. Elias considers this. I don't think, he says slowly, that what I am matters as much as what's being said. May shakes her head. It matters to me. He looks at her with quiet wonder. I wish I knew why. Earth Command orders the continuation. The last warning must be delivered. Elias agrees without understanding what agreement means anymore. As he finishes the final translation, something essential gives way. He slumps forward slightly. His eyes remain open, but empty of recognition. The translation ends. The message is complete. Humanity has been warned. Elias Corvin remains alive, but only in the biological sense. May kneels beside him, speaking his name, telling him stories, hoping something will anchor him. He listens politely. She realizes, in that moment, that the man she knew is gone. Understanding has been achieved. At the cost of the translator. And somewhere in the silent architecture of Kelris, the Varelians record another entry in their archives. Another species that learned the truth. Another bridge that did not survive the crossing. The chamber is quiet now. Not the calm kind of quiet. The fragile kind. The kind that feels like something has already ended, even though it hasn't been acknowledged yet. Elias Corvin sits at the center of the room, shoulders relaxed, hands resting loosely in his lap. His breathing is steady. His eyes are open. But there is no recognition behind them. May stands nearby, unsure whether to speak. She has learned that words can take things from him now. Even familiar voices can cost him something he doesn't realize he's losing. Still, she cannot stay silent. Elias, she says softly. He turns toward the sound. His expression is polite. Curious. Yes, he answers. Her chest tightens. Do you know where you are? He pauses, searching. No, he says honestly. But I think it's important. May nods, swallowing hard. It is. The Varelian presence slowly forms again across the chamber. Saris Thale's light is dimmer than before, its movement slower, almost hesitant. This was not how it was meant to end. The final translation waits. Earth Command watches from a distance, silent now. Even Admiral Hale does not speak. There is nothing left to demand. Everything that could be taken, already has been. Saris Thale reaches out, not with language, but with intent. A question, gentle and unforced. Do you wish to continue? Elias considers the thought carefully. I don't know what happens if I do, he says. May steps closer. You'll finish the message, she tells him. And after that, you may not remember anything. Elias tilts his head slightly. Anything at all? May hesitates. Then she answers truthfully. No. He absorbs this without fear. Without panic. After a moment, he smiles faintly. Then I won't miss it, he says. Because I won't know it's gone. May closes her eyes. Saris Thale waits. Elias looks up, his voice calm, steady. Please, he says. Let's finish. The final translation begins. This message is different. It is not warning. Not instruction. Not knowledge. It is a conclusion. The Varelians explain that they will leave once the translation is complete. They will not interfere further. They will not watch over humanity. They will not guide its future. Understanding has been offered. What comes next is humanity's responsibility. Elias translates every word, his voice never wavering. As he speaks, the last fragments of his identity unravel. He forgets language itself, speaking only through momentum. He forgets what questions are. He forgets what it means to finish something. May notices the moment when Elias stops reacting altogether. No pauses. No hesitation. Just sound. Just meaning passing through him. Saris Thale senses it too. The Varelians realize what is happening. They did not expect this. They believed identity would collapse gradually, leaving something behind. But Elias is not resisting. He is letting go. You will not survive this, the thought reaches him. Elias considers it. I don't think, he replies gently, that survival is the same as existing. May steps forward, unable to hold back any longer. Elias, she says, her voice breaking. Please. You've done enough. He turns toward her voice. For a brief, impossible moment, something flickers. Recognition. He smiles at her, not with memory, but with instinct. You sound kind, he says. I think. I trust you. And then the last translation ends. Silence fills the chamber. Not because no one is speaking, but because there is nothing left to say. Elias Corvin slumps forward slightly, still breathing, still alive. May rushes to his side, calling his name, holding his hands. His eyes are open. Empty. He looks at her with gentle curiosity, like a stranger seeing another stranger for the first time. Hello, he says. May presses her forehead against his hand, tears falling freely now. Hello, she whispers back. The Varelians withdraw their presence slowly, respectfully. Sarasthale lingers for a moment longer, imprinting a final record. Not of humanity. Not of language. But of a man who gave everything he was, to ensure understanding could exist at all. The translation is complete. The cost has been paid. And the universe falls silent once more. The Varelians leave without ceremony. There is no farewell. No final proclamation. No promise of return. One moment, their presence fills the chamber, quiet, vast, attentive. The next, it is gone. Kelris feels emptier than before. The delegation from Earth departs in silence. No one celebrates. No one speaks of victory. There is only the weight of what has been gained, and what it cost. The data Elias translated is distributed carefully. Selectively. Not as revelation, but as guidance. Humanity does not receive miracles. No weapons. No godlike technologies. No shortcuts to greatness. What they receive instead is restraint. Energy programs are re-evaluated. Expansion projects slow. Colonization efforts pause and reconsider. Policies shift, not because of fear, but because of understanding. For the first time, humanity listens to itself. Wars do not end overnight. Conflict does not vanish. But something fundamental changes in the way people argue, negotiate, and choose. The Varelians were right. Some truths protect. Others only destroy. Elias Corvin never learns this. He is transferred to a quiet medical facility on the edge of Earth's orbit. The doctors explain that his body is healthy. His brain shows no damage, no trauma that can be repaired. What is gone, is simply gone. Elias wakes each day without memory. No past. No context. No name that means anything to him. And yet, he is calm. May visits him often. At first, she tries to explain everything. Who he was. What he did. Why he matters. She stops when she realizes the explanations only confuse him. Now, she sits with him instead. They talk about small things. The view from the window. The color of Earth at sunrise. The sound of footsteps in the corridor. Sometimes Elias asks her questions. Do I know you? Have we met before? Why do you look sad when you see me? May answers honestly, but gently. Yes. Yes. Because you remind me of someone I loved. Elias listens carefully. I'm sorry, he says. I wish I could help with that. She smiles through tears. You already did. One afternoon, May brings him a recording. It is his voice, stronger, clearer, speaking during the first translation. Elias listens with quiet curiosity. That sounds important, he says. It was, May replies. Did I do something good? She nods. You did something extraordinary. Elias considers this. I'm glad, he says finally. Even if I don't remember it. Outside the facility, humanity moves forward. Carefully. Slowly. Exploration continues, but with humility. With caution. With the understanding that not every mystery needs to be conquered. Some need to be respected. Somewhere far beyond human space, the Varelians observe. They record another outcome. Another species that stood at the edge, and stepped back. Another bridge built, and lost. They do not mourn Elias Corvin. They honor him in the only way they know how. By remembering. May visits one last time before returning to Earth. She sits beside Elias, holding his hand. You won't remember me, she says softly. But I want you to know, you mattered. You still do. Elias squeezes her hand gently. You feel familiar, he says. Like someone who helped me feel less alone. May closes her eyes. That's enough, she whispers. As she leaves, Elias turns back to the window, watching the stars drift past. He does not know their names. He does not know their distance. But he feels something when he looks at them. A quiet sense of peace. The universe spoke. Humanity listened. And the one who made it possible lives on, not in memory, but in consequence. In every choice made more carefully. In every silence respected. In every truth weighed before being spoken. The translator is gone. But understanding remains. And for now, that is enough. The universe spoke. Humanity listened. And the translator disappeared into the silence he made possible.